Hey,
What's been up to?
nothing. How you been?
I've been doing it, right?
Nothing new.
So what's been up?
I've been good. How have you been? Haven't heard from you in a while.
I mean, you could have just texted me.
Um, you're right. I just thought things would be a little awkward from the last time we saw each other.
I mean, but it doesn't have to be that way. I mean, so are we gonna be a couple or not gonna be a couple, or I mean, or we could just go for it and end things. I mean, what you want to do?
I want for things to go back to how they used to be.
But I mean, if they go back to how they used to be, I feel like we'll be stuck. Like, it's like not going forward. Just
But I feel like it'll be different this time.
oh yeah, oh yeah, I would hope so.
Maybe.
So you got any plans today?
No. What about you?
Nope. So you wanna go out? Wanna do something? Or
Sure.
like what?
Don't know.
Okay, I'll pick some.
Right.
Come on.
Welcome to the Unknown Options, the place where we explore the unknown options, the number one source for career apprehension and accessibility. My name is Will, and today I have with me Wade. Wade, it's great to have you here. Give us a rundown on who you are and what you do.
I'm Wade Simmons, born and raised in Chicago. I am a filmmaker, funeral service worker, and I trained for pro wrestling for about 2 years.
Nice. I love
Happily
it.
married, man of faith, love God, so, it's all good.
I love it. I love it. Your journey is important, so we want to highlight the good, the bad, and the ugly. For someone who might not know, what is a funeral services worker?
So a funeral service worker is actually pretty much a caretaker, someone that when someone loved ones pass away, you would call us, to make arrangements to hopefully, give your loved one the best service that they could have. What is a memorial? What is a funeral service? I mean, hey, it's pretty much kind of like being an event planner, just for funerals. So I mean, it's a lot that goes into it. I mean, I definitely would say that if you want to pursue that type of career, you probably should start volunteering just to check it out, because I mean, you're dealing with people kind of like not at the best time of their life.
Yeah.
And, you have to really care about what you do. It's like, you can't treat it just as a job. It has to be in your heart to do it. I mean, it's a really cool field, though. You get to meet a lot of people.
Yeah.
You get to help people. And, it kind of makes you think about your own life, too. It kind of helps you, want to live more with purpose. But, yeah, but a funeral director is pretty much just a licensed individual that would sit down, make arrangements, make sure that your loved one is properly cared for, you know, does dressing, does some embalming. I mean, every state is different. Like, I'm from Illinois, so in Illinois, you have two licenses. You would have a funeral director license and you have an embalming license.
Wow.
Some states have them separate, but I think it's kind of good to have both because you want to be well rounded.
Definitely. I love it. I love it. I know when we were talking before we hopped on the actual recording, you said you've been in the field for 13 years. How did you get started in this industry?
So for me, I always said, again, as a child, that I was going to do two things. I was going to be a filmmaker and I was going to be a mortician. And so actually what happened was that while I was in high school, my teacher, Miss Anderson, when I was a senior, she called Spencer Leak Jr., who's the owner of Leak and Sons Funeral Home right here in Chicago, and said, hey, I got a young man interested in being a mortician. He said, hey, show up in the gold tie, wear a white shirt, black suit. And from that day forward, I ended up working with them for about 13 years. So I started with them in high school, ended up going to Malcolm X College to do my prerequisites. Was kind of hoping to kind of move pretty quickly, but that's not the way. Sometimes you make plans, that's not the way things go. It was pretty a pretty bumpy journey because had a few setbacks, but I was able to go to Malcolm X, do my prereqs, and then to be honest, I failed like this one class twice, so I ended up going to another school, got the class for free. Then I finally was able to go to mortuary school. Then with the mortuary school, that was tough, but by the grace of God, eventually, after I want to say almost 2 years of trying to pass the test, I finally got out of there.
Nice, I love it.
Finally, it wasn't no joke either.
That's interesting. So were like the prereqs for like the mortuary school before you got there, were they kind of like general college classes, or were they like focused on like funeral service like things or like subjects?
So the prerequisites was it was more like basic, classes, but like it was like but see, like every school is different because here in Illinois we have Malcolm X College, we have Worsham College, which is the one that I went to. We have Southern Illinois University, and then there's another college called like Carl Sandburg. So I went to Malcolm X, which actually had a program, but it's like, I didn't want to, I like Worsham, so I went there, and I thank God that I did, because when I went there, I met a lot of cool people. I met my friend TC, my good friend Jimmy Higgins. I met a lot of people, my friend Clement, John Netherly. So I met a lot of, good people, and the teachers were nice. It was rough, but I mean, I met a lot of cool people, like, and to me, it was different because, like, you met different people from all walks of life, like my friend Clement, he's from Ghana, so I think he was like the first student from Ghana that actually graduated there, which was pretty cool. And it was hard though, man, to be honest with you, because it's like, you would think, because I was doing this before I even went to college for it.
Yeah.
I started in high school, but it's like, as sometimes the academic side,
yeah,
as opposed to the actual business side, sometimes it's two different things, because of course they want you to make sure that you know how to do the job and do things properly, but sometimes some people are book smart, but some people are a little more hands-on. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
So,
I got you.
So I went to mortuary school, and man, it was hard. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Like it was one time I'm like, what, if this don't work out, I think I'm gonna go on down to Arizona and just, find something else to do.
Wait, why Arizona? Just you want to get out of there?
Well, because I had I got family down there and stuff like that. So I'm like, it's just it at one point it wasn't looking good. And the funny thing about it was like, it was rough because, like I said, after going through the program, because like the first semester was kind of more like general knowledge, learning about the FTC, Federal Trade Commission, learning about the rules and regulations, learning about arrangements and things. And then you learned a little bit about embalming, but then like the second term there, or quarter, whatever you want to call it, maybe it was really more like third quarter, but it was like they broke it up like it was first and second. Like I think when you got like to like the third quarter, that's when you actually had the embalming lab. So the first time around, I had to start over. I didn't make it to that part, so I started over. And at first, I was like, kind of like, I don't know if I want to do this, but I'm like, okay, you know what? This is what I really want to do.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna give up, that easy. So it was crazy because like I live in the south suburb, so the school that I went to, like, I don't have no car, nothing like that. So like,
Yeah.
I like took the bus train. Like I would get up like at 3 a.m. sometimes
Oh
with my
man.
grandfather, and then I would take like the sometime I would get on the brown line, sometime I would get on the blue line, the red line. I would take it over to Addison Street, and then I would walk over to where the Wrigley Field where the Cubs play, and I would actually meet my friend Clement over there, and I would ride to school with him. So man, it kind of brought back many fun memories because it was like getting up every day and just having that routine. But I mean, like thinking about it now, it's kind of funny because it's like, wow, like it seemed like that was like, it wasn't like that long ago, but it's like, I'm glad that journey over with because like around that time, like it was rough because then I had to start over. Then all my friends, they pretty much left and I started with a new class. And then that new class that I started with ended up making some friends or whatever. But in the meantime, toward the end of my journey in mortuary school, like, my birthday was like on the last day that we had our last lab. So we went to the medical examiner and we would do our embalming labs. Now, I never forget, it was on February 13th. It was my birthday. That was my last lab. And I'm like, yes, I finally made it. But then it was still another hurdle. Like we graduated in March, but the thing was this, like, even though you graduated, you still didn't like, get your degree until you passed these tests called the capstone. So what ended up happening with me was while I was trying to take the capstone, I kept taking that test and failing and failing and failing and failing. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm getting sick of this. So like, I'm like, if this don't work out, I'm gonna have to do something a little different. So I was kind of considering other careers. So I'm like, maybe I'll take up plumbing because my uncle, my grandfather, he was a master plumber. So my uncle has a plumbing business in Vegas. So I went down to Vegas, worked with my uncle for I think like maybe 2 weeks or so. And I went down there to work with him, and I'm like, okay, wait a minute, this is my family skill, but this not my thing. But the funny thing about it was that particular day, like I remember my uncle had this one client, the lady was going off on him, and the lady was going off on him so bad, but she talked to me. Me and her had a whole conversation, and like when she got through chewing my uncle out, she said, when you come back to Vegas, make sure you come by and visit me. So I at least know that my strength is like talking and dealing with people. So I'm like, okay, I don't think this is for me. So then I was gonna go to school to like be a veterinarian assistant. So I went to this place and I saw them dogs and stuff, one leg. I said, oh man, I don't think I can handle that either. So then I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go to film school. So I ended up going to film school. And as soon as I enrolled in film school, I end up going to mortuary school, like, cause like some days when I wouldn't have class at film school, I went to my mortuary school to finish up the test. And I know a lot of people was like, you need to finish up one thing, it's impossible. But guess what? As soon as I went to film school, I passed the first test.
Oh man, nice.
And then after I graduated film school, I kid you not, God gave me a dream after I was failing the science part. And I never forget it. I think it was on a Wednesday night. God gave me a dream that I passed the test. I woke up that Thursday after I graduated film school. Like sometime after that, I woke up. I said, okay, I'm going to trust God. I'm going to go out here and take this test. And I went and took the test and I passed the science test.
Nice.
So it's funny that like I was struggling with mortuary science, but after I turned around and went down a whole nother path, I went back and I finally got my stuff.
Easy. I gotta talk about something you said though. You said you were going to go to veterinary school and you like the dogs were like on one leg. Why does that bother you? But like not seeing like dead human bodies like bother you?
That's an interesting question. I just think sometimes I don't know. I think things register different with people. Like I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I love animals, but I don't know if I would necessarily want to work with them in that condition. But I
Okay.
mean, as far as the funeral business, it was always something that I wanted to do. I mean, like, my friends that knew me, even in elementary school, they'd tell, like, I always said, I was going to be a mortician. I was going to be a filmmaker. And I just guessed that I was really, I really had a passion for it. So I pursued it and, stayed in it for a long time. Because like I said, nobody stay around anything that long if they really don't like it.
Yeah.
And I
100%.
mean, that business is enough. Like I said, if it's not in your heart to do it, I don't know if you will, but I think it's it, I feel like that job really makes you look at life realistically. And like, I think to me, it helped me to have compassion for people. Because
Mm.
like one thing I noticed, and I'm gonna keep it 100, like a lot of times in life, right?
Yeah.
You notice with people, like a lot of times people really don't, and I'm not trying to be like funny when I say it, but a lot of times don't seem to like really think about people until something happens. You
Yeah.
know what I'm
100%.
saying? And so
Yeah.
like, being there, it just kind of like constantly remind you like to don't take life for granted, don't take people for granted.
Yeah.
And to me, like, I'm not afraid of having that constant reminder. Like to me, I feel like when you like in that type of environment, it just teaches you to be more compassionate and like, you care about people.
Yeah.
I mean, it don't matter like, what race or creed or nothing like that. Like, we're all people, and I
Yeah.
think that everybody deserves to be, loved, and especially if you're a person that believe in God. Like,
Yeah.
I can't speak for everybody, but like the scripture tells us, God is love.
Yeah.
And to me, like, I think that it's just one of the things with like, knowing that tomorrow is not promised to anybody. I think that one of the best gifts in life that we got is love. And so
100%.
I just think that like to me, like that business is always a constant reminder to me that, keep love in your heart for people. Because, people anyway, like I say, sometimes people will, you know, hate you one day and then something happens, it's like, then everybody love you. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely. 100%. Is that was one of my questions? Like, why do you think like funerals or being a funeral service director intern? Why is that important in society? Is that like one of the main reasons you think of like it gives you compassion and maybe a little bit of humility?
But I also think for me, like, doing that business, I think to me it keeps you more humble. Because
Mhm.
like I said, because I've been blessed to, see many things, as a filmmaker. I was blessed enough to train in the pro wrestling industry, and
Yeah.
and being honest, sometimes when you get into some of these type of industries, right, a
Yeah.
lot of times people get the big head.
Yeah.
You know? And my thing is that working in the funeral business, you learn, hey, no matter who you are, everybody got an expiration date.
Yeah.
So
100%.
I'm not living life trying to be any better than nobody. I'm not trying to compete with nobody. I'm just living my life, and I'm just gonna have love in my heart for people, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
do what I love. I'm not here to tear anybody down.
Yeah.
I'm not here to try to, put myself above anybody. I'm
Definitely.
just wanting to live my life and, love God and, love people, love my wife, and just be the best version of me that I could be.
Definitely.
Because like, we live in this world and like, it's a lot of stuff going on, huh? I put it like this, like, people, we aren't perfect, but we're being perfected. And like, I feel
Mhm.
like we all grow different.
Yeah.
And if people had like a little more love, I think the world could be a lot more better than it is.
Definitely.
And when I say love, I mean like even as far as being a business owner, like, I mean like, if you really love your brother, you're not gonna try to jilt nobody. You're not gonna try to get over on nobody. You're gonna, if anything, you're gonna try to help somebody. You know,
100%.
can't help
Spot on.
everybody, but
Yeah.
you'll do what you can to like. And so that's why, like, to me, the funeral business, it keeps you more grounded to me than some of the other ones because, like I said, sometimes when people get in the film and even with pro wrestling, sometimes people like, oh man, I get the big head like I'm somebody, but again, anybody could
Yeah.
leave here, you
Yeah.
know.
100%.
And so my thing is that nobody's exempt from reality, so it's a good thing to stay humble,
Yeah. 100%. I
stay
agree.
humble.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Do you think there will be more like funeral service workers in the future, or do you think there'll be less?
To be honest, I really believe that there's a lot of more young people entering the industry now. I think, to be honest, a lot
Okay.
of people like catching on. Like a lot of people see it as like a instant money grabber, but to
Mhm.
me, this is a business that you really have to care about. Because, like, I don't know if you recently saw on the news, but they're like funeral homes right now are kind of under the radar right now. Like if when you get time, look it up. But the
Yeah.
FTC that I mentioned, they just actually sent out a warning to many funeral homes because what was going on was like they had people call into some of these places and they were giving out like bogus prices and stuff. And to me in that business, when you're dealing with people, come on, man, like again,
Yeah.
no, don't take advantage of people because again, it could be anybody. Hey, being a mortician don't stop death from happening. It can happen to anybody.
Yeah.
So like to me, you just treat everybody the best that you can, and and try to serve the people right. Because I mean, it is a business, but at the same time, it's like, come on, man, be honest. Have some type of integrity. Because like I said, there are a lot of good people in the business.
Yeah.
But I do think that a lot of people, are getting into it now because they, think like, man, I can make a really good, living doing this. But again, sometimes it ain't always what you think it is.
Definitely.
Everybody got a right to pursue their dream now, but it's just like to me, I think that if you're passionate enough about it, go for it. If you really don't care for it, I don't recommend it.
Yeah, I agree. That's you made some good points. Can you give us like your day to day being like a funeral services director intern, like maybe like on like a busy day or even a slow day, like what you do in a day to day?
So for me, like I said, I'm kind of like right now I'm on a little break until my license gets situated because in Illinois, it's some stuff came up and the process of getting the license right now is really slow. That's another story within itself. But I've been on the case. But in the meantime, though, basically what I was doing was like, I would get there in the morning. A lot of times, help clean up or whatever, phone calls, help answer phones, set up chapels, help with services, step in, fill in wherever they need me to, a lot of different things, putting out fires sometimes, not that I'm anybody big or nothing, but hey, when you're in that business, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, definitely.
Because again, being in that business, you mess something up, man. That ain't like you go to Burger King and you mess up an order, but you mess something up, oh man. Oh man, you get called everything but your name.
Like you're right, 100%. Funeral is definitely one place you don't want to make a mistake. Definitely, like
that. Man, and it's like it's but I would say that like it's definitely a business that teaches you to respect people and be honest with them.
Definitely.
You can't go wrong with being honest. Like in that business, you got to be as honest as you can be.
Definitely. I love it. Okay. Well, that culminates half our interview. We're going to head to the not so speed round. We're going to ask you like some speed round questions and see what you got to say. What are 4 words that describe a funeral services worker?
Loyal, patient, understanding, honest.
Can you elaborate on loyal?
I would say loyal because when you're dealing with somebody's loved one, right? Like you should be loyal to their family, like not disclosing information. And and loyalty to me is kind of like it instills all the things that I just mentioned.
Yeah, 100%. You're right. Okay. I know you mentioned earlier that like you would consider this job being almost like an event planner. What's another profession that you think that it will be like relate to, or it would be like?
I would actually even say a filmmaker.
Okay.
And I say that because like in movies, it has a beginning, a middle, and end. And you're pretty much you're coming together to tell a story. You're coming together to help tell somebody's story.
I like that.
And to me, I feel like the best stories are a lot of times the people who live to be like, in like 80, 90, 100. I mean, it hurts to lose anybody, but like, I think when you're blessed enough to live like a full life and you got a chance to, experience and enjoy life and experience God and, have a good life, it hits a little differently. It's a little different than losing somebody young.
Definitely. I love it. That you put it, that was you put that together very well. I like that. Okay. What does a world look like without funeral service workers?
Now that I would say, who knows? I would say that somebody have to do it, but you just better
Yeah.
hope they're honest. You know,
Yeah.
cause back in the day, you know, again, that's why the FTC got involved. Cause back in the day, they ripped people off. So
Okay.
yeah, they sure was.
Charge them crazy prices for like just
Mm-hmm.
to serve. Okay, that makes sense. What's the good, bad, and ugly about being a funeral service worker?
I would say that the bad thing about it is that a lot of times with these licenses and stuff, like, you know, it's like they kind of make it a little tough for you to move around. Like if you want to move to different states and stuff like that, like it's all that. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, you know how to do the job. If you're doing it in Tennessee, you can do it there. You can do it anywhere, right?
Yeah. 100%.
You know, but
100%.
they take you through all this stuff, and you gotta, you know, come on, man.
Yeah. What's a ugly truth about it? Like something that's like that you like that's like an ugly truth about the job, you think?
Well, the truth about it, to be honest, is that, you know, one day it happens to everybody. You know,
True. Yeah. That is the ugly truth.
it's just a constant reminder. So you know, you take on the good with you.
Definitely. How do you would you side question, would you say like someone that's working this job has to be like mentally stable to like constantly see like death, or or would you say like somebody gets like numb to seeing it?
Well, I know the people that I've worked with, they're animated. Like, I mean, I know, because to be honest with you, I know some funeral directors that are not only morticians. I know one that's a military man and a banker. I know two that are lawyers.
Okay.
I know one that is actually a pilot, you know.
Okay.
So, I mean, you know, a lot. And I know one that's an accountant. So some of the ones I know have other jobs too. So it's like, you know, they kind of balance it out.
Okay. That makes sense. Okay. Would you say, are you underpaid or overpaid as a funeral service worker?
It could be a little bit of both, depending on where you're at.
Okay. Okay. Do you think you're like in the middle? Like, do you think you're for Chicago? Are you like, you think you're underpaid or overpaid in Chicago? You think?
I think some people are underpaid, but some people might be overpaid.
True. Depends on the person. Okay.
Yeah.
What's one person, book, or event that changed the trajectory of your life, and why?
Actually, to be honest with you, I would have to say any book, like any books that I read, like about Walt Disney. Because as a child, I read a lot of books about his life. Like me, he was born in Chicago.
Yeah.
He spent a lot of time in Missouri, and my wife is from Missouri, so like I've been spending a lot of time there too. So it's like
Okay.
I really kind of get motivated thinking about that, because I'm like, you know, wow, that's interesting. Like one of my childhood heroes. Like
Okay.
it's kind of like I'm seeing some similarities here. You know,
Like,
not a whole
okay.
lot. You know, no comparison. But I'm just
Yeah.
saying it's kind of cool.
I mean, both filmmakers, right? He's a filmmaker.
Yeah.
So I mean, they got that in common. Okay. Last question: If somebody saw this interview, they want to become a funeral service worker. What are like the tips or the steps that you give them to get where you're currently at?
I would tell them my best advice would be volunteer at a funeral home to see if you like it, and before you go to school, get those books, learn the embalming tools, learn the legal side of the funeral business. Because if you can pass like the law, the legality side, and you can learn the embalming, and even some restorative arts, which is like, you know, just reconstruction of the remains. If you can at least learn the embalming and the law side of it, you'll probably do really well in school.
Okay. I like it. I love it. Man, Wade, this has been a great interview. Man, give people like, I know we know you're a filmmaker, pro wrestling. Give people like where they can find you and where they can find like your film at, and maybe some stuff on your wrestling too.
So you can find my film work on Vimeo, Wade Filmmaker 777 on Vimeo. Check me out. I'm also on Instagram, Wade Jedi 99. I'm a very big Star Wars fan.
Okay.
And as far as pro wrestling is concerned, I'm actually working on the documentary from kind of like my experience of training, and I'm interviewing different people. So it's, you know, be on the lookout. By the grace of God, it's gonna be a good one.
Perfect. Okay, perfect. I'm gonna put those links in the thumbnails so you guys can find them below. Thank you, Wade, for joining us on the Unknown Options. It's been a great conversation. Everybody that's still watching, please comment, please like, please subscribe, and follow and like, subscribe to all of Wade's content as well. You have a blessed evening.